Hi, everybody. My name is Venk Bellamkonda. I am one of the emergency physicians here at Mayo Clinic, and it is my privilege to be able to present the Mayo Clinic Quality Academy's Taking Control of Your Email course to you. Why should you listen to me? Well, I've had periods in my career where I didn't feel like things were going quite the way I expected. I wasn't the teacher or physician I expected of myself, and I was distracted at home and really didn't feel like I could keep up with all the things that I had to do in my life. It wasn't entirely about email in those moments, but what you're about to see is the cumulative knowledge that myself and a few others have found on best practices to take control of your email. And if you're like me, this might give you that little bit of confidence that you can make a difference in the way you experience your life. For me, this has made a world of difference, and through this and a series of other changes, I feel like I win in all the arenas that are important to me, and I really enjoy what I do both at work and at home. As we go through the course, I'm going to ask you to do some things that are uncomfortable. After all, making changes to your email when email is so central to the way you communicate and keep track of your work at Mayo Clinic can be very stressful. In those moments where I say something or ask you to do something that is uncomfortable, remember why you're taking this course. For me, it's very easy. It's about my wife and my children and my joy in my work. Those are the core reasons for why I'm doing this and why I continue to do this. Now, why you do this might be unique, but whatever it is, if you remember that and you're very clear about the reasons, when I ask you to do something stressful, it'll be that much easier for you. Now, as you may have gathered, I'm going to ask you to make changes with me. I'm not going to be in person with you since this is a virtual course, so of course this is up to you. In the end, you're the one who stands to gain or lose by this working or not. And so I'm going to ask you to make commitments for about 2 weeks to do some things. Everything can be undone, and in truth, if you don't like it, you can reach out to me. I will help you undo everything I'm talking about, or I'll even come to your workstation and try and undo it myself. But our experience has been if you don't actually take a dive and make a commitment, it won't really work. Along this road, as you're listening to this course, there's going to be opportunities for distractions. We would recommend that you silence your phone, your pager, if you can, even turn off alerts on your computer. Let me show you how to do that.
Let me show you how to turn off interruptions from Outlook. This can help maintain your focus when you are doing active work. First, take your mouse up into the left upper corner and click on the File tab. Go down to the Options menu. Select the second item down in the left column where it says Mail. By default, Outlook will have all 4 of these message arrival alerts activated. Go ahead and deactivate all of them. This way, when you receive an email, if you are doing work in a different folder, you don't get interrupted. Also, while we're here, let's take a moment to optimize our search settings. Click on the Search tab, which is further down on the left side. By default, Outlook only searches the current folder that's selected. That means that you end up having to tell it again after the search is completed that you want it to search everything. Why don't we just default there by clicking this button? And the box underneath tells it to also search things in the deleted items folder. When you've done all that, go ahead and hit OK. It's important to remember that those are the only setting changes that we're going to talk about that do not carry over from computer to computer. So, on all of your computers that you work on primarily, make sure to make these settings changes. Once you do it, they'll stay on that computer until you change them otherwise. Thanks so much.
Now that you know how to turn off alerts, and while we were there, we optimized the search settings, let's get started with the course. As we've been teaching this course across the United States, some common concerns come up. The first is, people are concerned that we're going to ask you to delete things. I have to be honest, I am a hoarder and I refuse to take medications for it, so this works for me even without deleting. But my colleagues who teach this course, they delete a lot more regularly and it works for them too. So my point is, this course is really not about deleting, it's about the way you process communication and doing it as efficiently as possible. The other thing that came up early on, and really hasn't come up since then, but just in case you're wondering, you will still have to do your work. The thing that makes you special to Mayo Clinic, whether it's seeing patients or writing book chapters or teaching students, whatever it is that you do so well that you are hired and work here, you'll still have to do that. All this will do is will free up time and reduce the amount of stress that you spend doing things that are not related. In that way, it will make you better at what you do. It certainly has made me a better doctor and a better husband, a better father. I hope it does the same for you. With that said, have you ever deleted something that you wish you could get back? I'm talking delete out of the delete folder. Let me show you how to bring that back.
If you've ever deleted something, like deleted from the deleted items deleted, and regretted it, this is a trick you're going to wish that you knew then. At least you know it now. First, select the inbox or wherever you want to bring this item back. Then, go up to Folder at the top of the Outlook screen and select Recover Deleted Items. For this example, I have gone ahead and deleted an item recently. So I'm going to sort by the date it was deleted on, and there it is, Example Deleted. I'm going to select it and say Recover Selected Items. Now you can see that it's been added back into my inbox.
Okay, now that we've learned how to recover deleted items, bring them back from the grave, there's a lot more that I'd like to show you. Now, when I first started my journey, I had about 37,000 emails in my inbox. Do you know how many emails you have in your inbox? Here's a quick lesson on how to find out.
To find out how many total emails you have in your inbox, have the inbox selected, and then look in the bottom left corner of Outlook. Right here, it'll tell you the total number of items as well as the total number of unread items.
In addition to the 37,000 emails in my inbox, I had about 39 folders nested within each other. Believe it or not, I've found over the years, my numbers are nowhere near the leaderboard here at Mayo Clinic. Now, you know how many folders you have and how many emails you have. Thus far in our teaching of the course, we have seen people with over 76,000 emails in their inbox and over 200 folders. Believe it or not, we stopped counting around that number. So chances are you're not anywhere close to the leaderboard on this. And if you are, that's amazing. This is a great opportunity to set the record on recovery from that state to this new state where you have full control over your email. How do we do this? Especially for those who have huge numbers of emails in your inbox, this is an important thing. When you first approach a messy closet or garage, you have to first take out all the stuff that no longer has a purpose or relevance in your life. When it comes to email, what we do is we sort out emails that are old, out of date. Now, that date is going to be a personal mark, but we would advocate 30 days. After 30 days, an email is pretty much out of date. If that person needed you urgently for that issue, they probably have come to your desk, paged you, sent you another email, maybe followed you on Twitter or Instagram. But that original email, probably not as relevant anymore. But just in case, we're not asking you to do too much with it, but I think we should set that aside to say, this may no longer be relevant. So this is the sort step. What we're going to have you do is create an archive folder, and I'm going to show you how to make a folder.
Let me show you how to make a folder. Go ahead and click on Inbox with your right mouse button. Go down to New Folder. Type in the name. In this case, type in Archive and the date 1 month before today. Hit OK. You'll see that the folder appears right here underneath the area where we clicked to create it.
Once you've made this folder, I'm going to show you how to move a bunch of emails into that folder. And I want you to select all the emails that are 30 days old or older and move them into this folder. Let me show you how.
Let me show you the safest way to move multiple emails from one place to another folder. In this case, we want to move all the emails from our inbox that are older than 30 days into our newly created archive folder. To highlight this, I have created a number of old email examples that are listed there. I'm going to move them. First, let me click on one of the old emails, this one. Then I'm going to hold Shift while I click on the last of the old emails. Notice, by holding Shift down when I clicked the other side of this list, all of the list is now highlighted blue. I could either right-click here and select Move, or I can use this Move button right here. When you click that, go down to Other Folder and choose the folder that you want to move it to, in this case, the Archive folder, and hit OK. They've now moved into the Archive folder. Let me check. There they are, old emails 1 through 4. You can do the same process for thousands of emails, even tens of thousands of emails. It just may take a couple minutes for it to execute, even up to 10 or 20 minutes if you're moving 50,000 emails. But imagine how much safer this is than if you drag and drop and you misdrop 50,000 emails into the wrong place. We would recommend using this technique to move emails anytime you have to.
Okay, now put this out of your mind for the time being. We're going to come back to it and talk to you about what you need to do with that folder in a little bit. When we started to imagine what the perfect workflow would look like, we came up with the idea that it should be very simple, very quick, and easily reproducible, and meet all of the functions that you need from email. To that end, we call this the set step. We're going to set a new order for the way we process emails. We started to ask, what do customers of the email system want out of us? And in this case, when somebody sends me an email, they are my customer, okay? What do they want from me? We sat and thought about the reasons they send me an email, and we only came up with 2 reasons. They want me to do something, or they want me to remember something. That may take the form of wanting me to be aware of a hallway closing or a new policy, or they want me to write a manuscript or give them an answer or commit to going to a meeting. Either way, they want me to do something or remember something. So we're going to advocate that you create a 2-folder system that reflects why your customers are sending you emails. One folder is called Action and the other folder called Reference. Take a moment right now and make these folders within your inbox. Okay, now that you have these folders, let me tell you a little bit about how this process works. Imagine you send me an email. When I receive it, I ask myself, are you asking me to do something? And if so, do I have everything I need, including the time, to do it? And if so, I'm going to do it right now. Hopefully it's very quick, like less than a minute. I'm going to do it right now, and it's no longer an actionable email. In which case, because I'm a hoarder and I'm not going to delete, I just put it into Reference to store forever. If you want to consider deleting, then you have to ask yourself, either delete it or put it in Reference. Let's say you send me an action item and I can't do it right now. It's write a book chapter on how to manage email. I can't do that right now, so what I'm going to do is put it in my action folder, and I'm going to get to that later. I will talk to you about how to process things in your action folder down the road. Or maybe you sent me an email to say, Venk, the weather's bad outside. That's an awareness email. I'm just going to put it in my reference folder now that I've cataloged it in my mind. Okay? So what we're doing is we're distilling the mental decisions you have to make down to the fewest possible so that you're not wasting any extra time trying to decide which folder to put things in, and you're not wasting time down the road trying to find it once it's in a folder. It's about now that people start to get pretty nervous. Okay? I get that. You're probably wondering, how am I going to find the emails that I need when I need them related to the project that I'm doing? Well, it all hinges on the way we use the search function in Outlook. Let me show you how to search effectively in Outlook.
Being able to search efficiently in Outlook is essential to the functioning of this entire system. Let me show you how to do this. And I would ask that for the next 2 weeks, at least, you commit to searching for any email that you need to find, even if it's right in front of you or you know where it is. First, when I click in the search bar, watch what happens to all the icons up here. Did you notice how they changed? I must have worked at Mayo for at least 7 years before realizing that there are all these special buttons that I can use to search better. Until then, I would probably just put some keyword in here without doing much else, and then I would sort the results by sender and scroll until I found what I was looking for. What a waste. Now, I have planted a file within my system, kind of like a needle in this haystack. In fact, I titled it Needle in Haystack, but let's pretend I didn't know that. Let's pretend the subject had something like need, and in the body, I'm going to actually, instead of clicking there, let me click and find body here under more. Look at all these different search variables. I'm going to say in the body, my friend Heidi McSanek's name is there, but let's pretend I don't know how to spell it. And if I search by that, oh, there it is. Notice it wasn't the only thing. A few other items came up, even going back as far as 2018. It will search all the emails that are over here to find what you're looking for. This was the email I wanted to find. While I have it up, let me highlight that this entire course was created along with Heidi McSanek and Kurt Hale, along with Barbara Messenberg, who was essentially our project manager, and with endorsement from the Quality Academy being led by Barbara Jordan and Dr. Neka Comfer. Without these folks, this course wouldn't exist, and I'm very appreciative of their help. Okay, now that you know how to search, and remember, you can search by any of these things. Click the modifier and then enter whatever you know. If you practice this method of searching, you will be extremely efficient in finding what you need, and you'll have much more confidence in having only 2 folders to work with.
Okay, now that you've seen how to search, this is homework assignment number 1. That is, for the next 2 weeks, if you need to find an email, even if you know where it is, you know which folder it's in, or maybe it's sitting right in front of you, I would encourage you to use the search feature just like we showed you, so that you can build this skill. This is a core skill. It allows you to truly trust the system of Outlook to manage your emails without having folders, and it will save you lots of time. But it takes a little commitment to learn it. So homework assignment number 1 is use the search feature to find any email you need going forward, especially for the next 2 weeks. Okay. What else can it do? You know, we've already highlighted that the search feature is something above and beyond what most people are doing right now. Outlook can do a lot more. Unfortunately, we kind of treat Outlook like a piece of furniture. We create all these nested folders, and we take our files and we put them in virtual manila folders and virtual green folders and virtual filing cabinet drawers and label everything, and we think that's organization. But you know, that's like creating a virtual filing cabinet. But instead, let's use Outlook for all the potential it has. It can do so many more things, and it will free up your time and energy to do the things you really enjoy, not process email. So to that end, we call this the shine step. How do you make the system shine for you and make things as easy as possible for you? In the shine step, I'm going to highlight 2 of the many things that Outlook can do for you. First, we're going to talk about quick steps. This is one of my favorite tools within Outlook. And the second thing we're going to talk about is rules. Okay, let's talk about quick steps. Quick steps are a button that you create, and you tell Outlook, when I push this button, I want you to do a number of tasks for me automatically. This could be 1 task, 2 tasks, or 10 tasks. But if they're common things that you do, they're things you do frequently, having an automatic button that is customized to your workflow will make that faster. Let me show you how to make a quick step.
Let's talk about quick steps. Quick steps reside in this box right up here in the ribbon. This is, again, just like the search buttons, something that I must have worked here for many, many years without knowing that they existed, even though they're right in front of my face. Depending on your workstation and when you join Mayo Clinic, it's highly likely that you have some auto-populated buttons that somebody made for you or that Microsoft put in there for you. But if you don't use them, we should get rid of them and make some that you will use. To do that, there's a tiny button that's hiding right here in the bottom right corner. I want you to click that. You should get this Manage Quick Steps box. Everything in this left column is a button. Even if it sounds like a folder or file, it's a button. And if you don't ever use it, let's go ahead and delete it. If you do use it, don't delete it. But I would highly encourage you to delete anything that you barely use or don't use at all. In this case, I'm going to delete these buttons by clicking this. Now they're all gone. Let me hit OK. When you've done it right, the only thing left in this box should be the Create New button. Click that. Let's create 2 quick steps that we're going to use. Don't worry about changing the name. Go to this first drop-down menu. Click on it with your left mouse button and select Move to Folder. It's going to give you another drop-down menu where you can choose the folder you want to move things to. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to select Reference. Then I'm going to click this Add Action button. In this menu, when I click it, I'm going to select Mark as Read. Now I'm going to hit Finish. Let me do the exact same things, only for my action folders. Let me click Create New. From the drop-down menu, I'm going to select Move to Folder. In this second drop-down menu, I'm going to select my Action Items folder. Then I'm going to click Add Action, and here I'm going to select Mark as Read, and then hit Finish. These are extremely powerful and can really improve your efficiency in processing email. These are 2 examples, but more importantly, you now know how to make them. I would encourage you over the next few weeks, as you are processing your email very thoughtfully, to pay attention. If there's a set of actions that you are doing repeatedly, like making a meeting notice, or emailing the same group of people, or forwarding the same type of email on to another email account routinely, maybe it's an opportunity to make a quick step for that, to make your workload easier.
Now that you have made quick steps and know how to use them in your workflow, let me talk to you about rules. Rules are extremely powerful as well. The only major difference here is that rules work automatically. Instead of you triggering Outlook to do things by clicking the button, like quick steps, rules are where you tell Outlook, you don't even need my permission. If you notice these conditions are met, I want you to do something automatically for me. Let me show you how to make a rule.
In addition to quick steps, rules are extremely powerful within Outlook. Many people seem to have rules at Mayo Clinic, but in case you don't or you want a refresher on them, a rule is a situation where you are telling Outlook, when certain conditions arise, I want you to automatically do this for me without me asking you to do it. In that case, they're extremely powerful, as I mentioned, and they can work very effectively. Yet, if you make the rule with the wrong conditions, for example, if I make a rule that moves every email from my wife to the deleted bin, that could cause me a lot of problems. Let me show you how to make them, and I want you to pay attention over the next 2 weeks, again, to see if there are common things that you would like Outlook to do without even you having to tell it. So, in this case, I've set up a pretend email where it's simulating an accepted meeting notice right here. I typically don't read these. I almost always just put them in reference. So I'm going to set up a rule that does that for me. I've clicked on the email. I'm going to go up to the Rules button here and say Create Rule. This box that comes up is organized such that the top half of the box are the conditions that you want Outlook to look for, and the bottom half is what you want Outlook to do when those conditions are met. In this case, I'm going to say whenever the subject contains accepted : like that, I want Outlook to go ahead and move the item to a specific folder. Let me choose my reference folder like this and hit OK. Now, if I hit OK, it will go ahead and run this rule, and any future email that arrives with this in the subject is going to automatically get moved to my reference folder. Maybe you want to add even more conditions that this isn't enough. Click on the advanced options, and you can see that each one of these little blue hyperlinks can be adjusted to create a lot more specific conditions for what you want Outlook to watch out for. And then when you hit next, you can give very specific conditions that you want Outlook to follow when that is met. This can get really detailed really quickly. For most cases, that other box is sufficient. I'm going to hit cancel here and go ahead and OK. If you watch, it's going to ask if it should run the rule now. Let's say yes and hit OK. Notice it moved that one email that was here, accepted : into my reference folder for me. Rules are very powerful, and pay attention over the next couple weeks to see how you can use them to make your life easier.
Okay, now that you've made quick steps and rules, why don't you take a moment and practice processing your email. Remember, only finish an action item if it's quick and you have everything you can do at the table. Quick meaning around a minute, no longer really. The goal is to process all your incoming communications as fast as possible, and then you can really take a deep dive in all of your action items, okay? So go ahead, I'm going to show you briefly what I mean, and then I'd like you to take a minute to do that.
Let me demonstrate how I process my incoming emails. In general, I leave my mouse up in the Quick Steps box so that I can really just choose between action and reference really quickly. This allows me to read the email. I usually start at the top. Let's pretend this is a reference email. And this one, it's an action that's going to take too long for me to do right now. I'm going to click action and file it there. Let me pretend I'm reading it. It's a reference email. Another thing I'm reading, awareness. This is going to require a quick action. Let me reply. I've written some gibberish as a response. Now, it's no longer an actionable item. I'm going to file the whole thing into reference. In this way, I can process emails very quickly, just mainly moving my mouse between action and reference, and if you want delete, it's right over here. I try to avoid taking my mouse out of there as it slows me down.
Okay. Now, that was pretty amazing. I don't know if you could hear all the clicks. I'm pretty sure I heard the clicks even here in my film studio. But on average, what we're seeing is that people can process about 8 emails per minute in this new system. And that accounts for some variation in small answers that they're writing out and some larger things, and some junk mail that's really quick to delete or put in reference. So on average, about 8 emails per minute. If you round that up to 10, imagine that's about 100 emails every 10 minutes. When we were keeping track of email systems and management throughout the clinic and the enterprise, we found that most Mayo Clinic employees receive about 150 to 250 emails per day. Of course, there are a few outliers to that, and you may be thinking you're very special and you receive huge amounts more. But imagine the power of being able to process 100 emails per 10-minute block. You really don't need that much time in your schedule anymore to process all the incoming communications. And that will free up a lot more time for you to do work. Okay, up till now we've talked about a lot of fairly concrete things that you can do. How to recover deleted emails, how to search better, creating buttons, minimizing folders. Let's talk a little bit about how email fits into our workflow. Email at Mayo Clinic is incredibly important. Without question, it is one of the most commonly used, if not the most commonly used communication tool across the enterprise. Yet, very few people dedicate time in their workday to process incoming communication. We just assume it should fit in everywhere, and instead, what's happening is it's boiling into our time where we need to re-energize or think about things or be present in meetings. How many meetings have you gone to where people are on their laptops processing email? That's really unfortunate. I think back about great meetings I've sat in, meetings with people who are legends in their specialty. Around the world, there are physicians and healthcare providers who would pay and travel to come meet these people, and I'm in these meetings and I'm focused on my email. How disappointing is that? Ever since taking control of my email systems this way, I'm much more present in all these moments. Even simple things like riding the shuttle, I can take a moment to look at pictures of my kids or make a phone call about getting my car fixed or just stop and enjoy the beautiful day that is going on around me. How do we do that? Well, we would encourage, now that you can process email really quickly, we would encourage you to block 1, 2, maybe 3 20-minute segments of your calendar during which you will process incoming communications. And that means you're going to sit at a standardized workplace that has everything you need to manage most of your incoming email. You're going to work on a computer that's optimized for this, that has all the folders you need. Theoretically, you don't have that many folders, but it has everything you need to do your work. And you're going to take 20 minutes and just process your incoming communications. And after that, if you're going to have your email open, it's going to be to do action work.
I want to show you what an example week of my calendar looks like when I blocked off time to process my email communications. Keep in mind, during this week, I was working mainly overnight shifts in the ER. And so much of the daytime, I was sleeping. Here you'll see my shifts, swing shift, etc. They wrap around from the end of one day into the morning of the next, and at the end of the shift, I blocked off time to process my email. Also, after sleeping and before my kids would come home, I blocked off time to process my email. Twice a day. These look like big blocks, but they were really only about 15 minutes long, 3 to 3:15 a.m. 3 to 3:15 a.m. And I did that. Sometimes I'd move it earlier based on where I am in the day and what I'm doing.
And then after about a year, this became second nature to me, and I no longer needed the blocks. I had my system down. But every now and again, I fall off the wagon, and I have to put those blocks back on my calendar. But we would highly encourage you to do it. So this is another one of your homework assignments. Please, for the next few months, put 1 or 2 blocks in your calendar where you're going to process incoming communications, and that's it. The rest of the day, don't worry about incoming email. If it's urgent, they will page you, they will call you, they will come find you at your desk. But email is not meant to be for urgent communications, with very few exceptions. Okay? So, in the interim, what I want you to do is, when you're at your desk or at your computer, have your email up, but then only have your action folder up. And because we've turned off alerts, you won't be distracted by incoming communications. You're going to be able to stay focused on all the big picture and medium picture items that you need to get done and that people are waiting on. This will help you be more present in the things that you think are important, rather than being a slave to things that are coming in more recently. Okay? This is the standardization of the way email fits into your workflow and your life. This next one is extremely important as well. We call it the sustain step. You all have taken an incredible journey and invested your time and energy and honestly gone through some things that are probably a little scary or uncomfortable with me. I'd hate for that to all fall apart the next time you have a vacation. That's not fair. You need time to be with your family and re-energize the inner character of yourself so that you can be fully present at work and with your families. You deserve that. And you should deserve it. You should have it without any punishment. So, we would advocate, this is another homework assignment, that you create a written plan for how you're going to manage the email communications that come in during short-term breaks and long-term breaks and even unexpected things, okay? So let me give you an example from my life of how I manage my email communications, and that might springboard how you do it, okay? When we were first starting this, my wife and I created this system, and it's worked really well for us. When we have short-term breaks, like a 3-day weekend, say Memorial Day weekend, that Tuesday we'll put, instead of 20-minute blocks to process email, we'll put 30-minute blocks. And of course, we put our out-of-office message up as well. Contrast that, when we took our kids to Disney World for 9 days, we put an out-of-office message up, but every night in the hotel room, we would turn email back on our phones. Yes, you caught that. We don't have email on our phones most of the time anyway. But every night in the hotel room, we would turn it back on, and we would process all the incoming email for that day into action or reference and not respond. Just process, and then we would turn it back off, and we were back into vacation mode. Then at the end of the trip, when we returned to work, I put a new out-of-office message up that says, I'm back on campus. I am getting dug out of my email, and I'm handling urgent things that are coming up as well as clinical work. But if you send me a new email, there still may be a delay. This helps so that if my friend Eric runs into me in the cafeteria, he doesn't assume that the email he sent to me that morning is going to get a response that day. He'll understand that I'm a little bit behind still, and I will get back to him. Okay, so that works for us, but it may not work for you. There can be even added layers of protection or safeguard onto this. Initially, my wife and I came to an agreement that after we would return from a long trip like this, there would be a very minimal familial requirement. Dinners that we were making for our kids would be very simple, or we might get takeout, as opposed to committing to really advanced meals that take a lot of prep. And we really like watching The Walking Dead, but instead of making a commitment that we're going to have that TV night, there's an understanding. If one of us has to work on a project or read a journal article or something, or get caught up on the email itself, that's okay. This helps us to be fully present on the vacation when we're there and to not dread coming back to work. It's really important. These things work for us, but I would really encourage you to figure out what works for you. Okay, let's take a step back and take stock of what we've talked about today. The first thing I asked you to do is to sort emails that are really old and keep only the ones that are relatively new in your inbox. And now with our streamlined system, you can process them as well. And that was the sort step. Next, we set a new order for the way email processing should occur. As I mentioned, we reduced down to a 2-folder system, action and reference, and you're going to decrease the number of mental decisions you have to make per email and hopes to be as fast as possible. The next step was the shine step. We're going to make the system do a lot of work for you. In the beginning, we already talked about turning off alerts, making sure the search options are set up the way you need them to be. Then we talked about quick steps. We talked about rules. There's a lot more we can do if you really like this and it works for you. But remember, Outlook is not furniture. Don't treat it like that. Then we went into a little bit more of the theoretical nature of things. How do we standardize the way email works in our life? It shouldn't be rampant everywhere, but yet it's important and deserves time on your calendar. And we would recommend you have a singular workspace as much as possible, that you do your work and that you block time, 20-minute blocks, once, twice, maybe 3 times a day, where you process incoming communications. The rest of the time you focus on your action items and your things that people are waiting upon you for. And finally, you want your system to survive despite vacations and unexpected events. And so you need to have a plan to how you're going to sustain your progress. Does this look familiar? Sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain? It should. This is 5S. This is one of my favorite slides in the entire presentation because, I think a lot of times we think of healthcare quality tools like Lean and Six Sigma, PDSA and DMAIC as ways to help Mayo Clinic and help generate revenue or save revenue or make things safer, all about the patients and the business. This slide shows how we did this for ourselves to make our lives better, more enjoyable, and less stressful. Healthcare quality tools are not just about the healthcare industry, but it can be about your life too. Along this journey, some of the things I asked you to do were probably uncomfortable. But remember, the goal is to free up your time and reduce your stress. In pursuit of these goals, there's almost nothing that is too taxing to try, and I'm glad that you came on this journey with me. I hope that you find it very valuable. I don't want to pretend that I'm the creator of all this. In fact, I have 2 colleagues who helped set up this course, and we drew upon inspiration from a number of sources. If you want to continue your learning and your journey here, I've put up a few things here for you to look at. Merlin Mann gave a great talk, which you can find on YouTube. He gave the talk to Google executives, and believe it or not, they have over 1,000 emails per day as their average, and yet they're pursuing a similar goal of trying to keep their inbox clean and efficient. And Merlin Mann's talk is quite entertaining and fairly short. It's about 20 to 25 minutes, if I remember correctly. Dan Pham put some of these similar concepts in writing in some of his periodical publications, and David Allen wrote a very popular book called Getting Things Done. There's a huge movement of people across industries who believe in his methods, and they call it the GTD movement. The book can be found in an audiobook version, digital book, and physical book, and it's incredibly dense. It can be a little bit hard to get through, but it is full of all kinds of amazing tips, not just about email. And then the last 3, Toyota and the 2 lean scientists, they're really credited with the foundations for lean and 5S. And this system wouldn't be there without them. So our hats are off to them. If you like this course, I'm very grateful, and I would appreciate if you would look at other courses from the Quality Academy. If you don't like this course, I'm equally grateful, and I would again encourage you to look at other courses from the Quality Academy, but also feed back to me via email. Yeah, I said it. Send me an email from this email course. Send me an email about what I could do to make this better for you, what my team can do to make this better for you. Thank you again for all your attention, and I wish you well in your journey. Remember why you took the course, and everything will be that much easier.